Today, you'll learn why burnout is not a weakness, it's a stress and system issue, and how to lead a regulated state instead of a reactive one. Now, Dr. Melanie is going to walk us through her stop it method so you can set boundaries, make better decisions, and actually enjoy the work that you're doing. So, stay tuned to the end for 5 things that you can start this week. Now, if this helps you, I want you to follow The Advisor with Stacey Chillemi on Apple, Spotify, and subscribe to our YouTube at Stacey Chillemi Advisor. It helps more leaders hear this. Now, today, my special guest is Dr. Melanie Gray. Over 20 years in nursing, leadership, and education, she helps leaders prevent burnout with trauma-informed nervous system-based tools into their lives and help them lead a new, happy, fulfilling life. Now, Dr. Melanie, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you here.
Oh, Stacy, thank you so much for that warm welcome. I'm so excited to share and have this wonderful conversation with you to serve your wonderful listeners.
Oh, thank you so much. Now, you say burnout isn't a personal weakness, it's a system and mindset issue. What do you mean by that, actually?
Well, people sometimes believe that if they are out, if they're not keeping up with in a manner that they think they should with their colleagues, that something is wrong with them. And
Mhm.
there is nothing wrong with any of us because we're wired differently. We have had different experiences, different traumas that have developed our capacity to help to manage certain levels of stress, right? And
Mhm.
look, we all have different DNA, right? Why do we think that all of us should have the same responses? And why do we beat ourselves when we don't respond like someone else? We are individuals and we have to embrace our individuality, our uniqueness in how we
Yeah.
lead and serve. We should not be beating ourselves. We have to stop it, Stacy.
I agree 100%. Now, from your leadership background, what were you seeing over and over in high performers who were burning out?
Well, they work 7 days a week.
Hmm.
They don't set boundaries around their work. So if they come in at 7, they don't shut down at 5:30. They're going home and they're still answering emails and they're answering text messages. Uh, or before texting, they were paging. You have to have boundaries for work because even with our colleagues, Stacy, we're teaching people how to treat us. And then
Yes.
when they treat us badly because we're not responding all the time,
Hmm.
24/7, then they
Yeah.
judge us. But we've taught them, you can do it, you can do it. And then when it doesn't work anymore, we're frustrated.
Uh-huh.
We
That's
can't blame people when they're doing what we said was okay. Now,
yeah.
you doesn't mean you can't pivot and say, this I have learned and I need to change. I am now setting boundaries. But you have to understand that when people don't always get what they want from you in the way they were used to getting it, they are not always kind. We
Yeah.
don't have to own their unkindness. We
Yes.
have the right to set our boundaries. We have the right to change and evolve.
Oh, I so agree with that. Now, what does chronic stress actually do to the brain and the nervous system that makes us lead badly?
Well, you're on fire all the time. Basically, when you're stressed and you're burnt out, then your cortisol levels increase, your brain is always firing, and so you never relax. And
Yeah.
so chronic stress then a very has been shown by the research to increase chronic illnesses, increase the risk of Alzheimer's, increase the risk of dementia, increase the propensity for heart disease. There's so many negative long-term influences physically
Yes.
to always being burned out and overstressed, not even to mention that we're not as productive. Denial, as they say, is not just river in Egypt.
Mhm.
Sometimes we lie to ourselves a lot. We're in denial about the neck pain, the headaches, the depression, the fatigue, the lack of energy, the inability to focus because we cannot be wired and always firing, our amygdala always firing 24/7. It's not
Yeah,
healthy.
no, it's
It's
not.
not
It's
healthy.
not. They even say like over 100%, because I said one time the old number was 70%. I said 70% of illnesses are caused by stress. And a doctor corrected me. He goes, no, 100% of illness is caused by stress. Breaks down the immune system and
Breaks
opens
it
you up for
down.
everything.
Yep.
So true.
People wonder, why do I always have a cold? Why do I always have the flu? Why do I catch everything? Well, because stress does reduce your immunity as well.
Yeah,
Right. And
that's very
when
true.
you're even in the I'm probably dating myself, but even in the old days when I was, in my first cycle of being 29, Stacey, they used to say that when you're sick, you should get some rest. Drink
Right.
your soup, eat soup,
Mhm.
and get rest. Well, if when a person has surgery, the first thing the physician does is say, well, I want you to rest so many days. Why?
Yeah,
Because your body needs to recover. If your
yeah,
body needs to recover from physical illness, it needs to recover from the battery of stress that we are putting on it. It's just
yes.
sometimes we do manage the stress and we don't know what it means to relax anymore.
Right. That's so true. Now, for someone listening right now who is exhausted, what's the first 24-hour step you want them to take?
The first 24-hour step is to schedule some time off for yourself immediately. If you have
Mhm.
paid time off, vacation time, sick time, use your employee assistance program. Do whatever you need to do right now to take some time off. If it means also that you have to talk to your family, your significant other, and say, hey, I need this window of 2 to 3 days to rest and to think or to go have a massage. You've got to involve your resources.
Yes.
Commit. Commit. You have to commit to self-care. You have to commit, just like you commit to your job and making and doing certain tasks and being elevated and getting promotions. You have to commit to caring for yourself, Stacey, because at the end of the day, we're more than our job. We're more than
Yeah,
our title. What do you want to be known for? And
exactly.
by whom do you really want to be known? What will your
Yeah.
children say? What will your
Mhm.
siblings say? That
Yes.
we have to see ourselves differently. We sell
Yes,
ourselves short
we
when we
do.
don't. So right
Yeah.
now, make commit and use your resources to take the time.
Yes. Oh, I love that answer. Now, you said that we make better decisions when we're regulated. What does regulated actually look like in real life?
Well, when you're regulated, you are able to be thoughtful. You are able to have time for reflection. You're not, you are regulated when your responses are thoughtful to individuals, when all of you're not angry, you're not in continual frustration and fear. Because when you're overregulated, what? Fright and flight are
Hmm.
elevated, they rise.
Yeah.
And so our responses will align with being in that fright and flight stage. Ah,
Mhm.
what do you mean? What do you want? What are you saying? And then we become hyper vigilant, maybe in the wrong way. What, being suspicious. What do they mean by that? Why
Yeah.
did they send that email? We don't always perceive correctly either when we're hyper stimulated emotionally and we're stressed.
Yes.
So we have to be able to reflect, be able to breathe, have the time to walk away, and to have the time to say no.
Yeah.
Let me delegate that. Let me see how, what other way can we strategize to get this done?
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. Now, how can someone tell in the moment I'm leading from fight or flight right now?
They can tell by how their responses, if they can tell by how they react to a certain email. They can tell by their responses in the meeting. They can tell by how irritated they're becoming when they're engaging with certain people, or when they're engaging with certain in certain situations like leadership meetings, or having to respond to people that are on their team. Your
Yeah.
response is, when you know when your emotions are boiling or triggered. I think when you know that you're triggered and you're seeing yourself being triggered very often, that's
Yeah,
a sign that you are now becoming overly stressed and burned out.
right. Oh, yeah. Now, what's a 2 minute nervous system reset that leaders can do between meetings?
They can go and in their desk, in a space where, even if it's a stairwell,
Hmm.
take a deep breath, check in with themselves. How am I feeling right now?
Right.
Be honest about that.
Hmm.
If they really feel that they're not well, then maybe you need to reschedule that meeting.
Yeah.
If you feel you are okay, then decide how you're going to show up at that meeting. I'm
Hmm.
going to be vocal. I'm going to sit back and listen. How do you need to show up at this meeting? If you're not
Right.
leading it, and you can be a participant. If you're leading, how can you engage others to help lift the conversation so that maybe you can say a little bit less? So you
Right.
have to stop, breathe, consider yourself. Where
Yeah.
am I? Center yourself, and then be honest about that.
Hmm.
Even if you are, or you can walk, you know, walk in, if there's a space you can walk, and or put a quick song on that allows you just to recenter yourself, because there
Right.
is so much coming at leaders all of the time, and change is constant. It's not
Yeah.
like, oh, there's something new today. It's like,
Right.
oh, there are 20 new things today. You know,
Right.
I
Hmm.
think that the way we work before email, right? You actually had meetings where we kept files, and
Yeah.
when there was no meeting, we weren't exchanging anything unless
Yeah.
I came to your office. But now, you people can reach you by email, people can reach you by text, they can come to your door. It doesn't turn off. So I
Yeah.
think the why we don't maybe remember our parents or loved ones having being seeming as out of control, or having a lack of control, if they did have width to step away. We
Yeah.
Current work does not necessarily allow you to step away anymore. It's
Right.
ongoing. So that's why leaders have to make that choice. Right.
Yes.
And maybe it's a bold move. Maybe the culture in your organization doesn't support your stepping back. Then I think the other question every leader has to ask is this organization still good for me?
Yes.
And if it's not good, then what is your plan B
Right.
to put yourself in a healthy environment? Now, you might say, Stacey, well, what if they can't make the same amount of money? Well, maybe you don't. So
Right.
then what are you going to do about that? Are you going to have the
Mhm.
courage to take care of yourself? Are you going to have the courage to say, how can I reduce my bills? Maybe I'm better off with two part-time jobs rather than
Right.
a big one. Maybe I don't want to rise in leadership, or I have to take a step back. I mean, everyone's story is different, but we
Yeah.
need to have the courage to be good with ourselves,
Yeah.
to have a voice for ourselves and our
Right.
own health. Because I will tell you, in all of my years of nursing and all of my years in higher ed, and that's over 20 in both,
Yeah.
I've rarely seen the organization go out of their way when people are
Mhm.
no longer useful to the team.
Right.
You might get a flower, you might get a card, right? I mean, it's maybe. It's not written in your contract that you'll get anything. So,
Yeah.
so I think we have to consider, what works for me right now and have the
Right.
courage to change and find that
Yeah.
supportive network of people that can support us in that change.
Oh yeah. I love that answer. Now, how does this change, communication, especially when they're stressed and we want to snap?
Just pause, pause. And I personally have seen it work. I don't think it's unfair to say, to your team, I am not in a space right now where I think I can answer that question fairly.
Right.
I'd like to come back to that. I know it's
Mhm.
important to you. Can you give me 24 hours?
Yes.
I need to reflect because we're going to have to own whatever we say. We own the
Mhm.
response. It's better to have a good one that you're prepared to give than to snap.
Yeah.
Or and you can say to people, I mean, I think transparency is not a bad word.
Hmm.
I just had some really just came out of a really intense meeting. I value you all so much. I'm going to table this one point right now.
Yeah.
And just tell them why I don't think vulnerability is weakness.
Hmm.
I think it's truth. We want people, I believe, I've never had a team that didn't respect truth and didn't
Right.
respect my honesty. More often they say, wow, I'm really glad you said that. Or I was
Yeah.
feeling that way too.
Mhm.
So I think we have to, I don't think that vulnerability or honesty is a weakness. I think
Right.
we do ourselves a disservice when we stuff and we stuff
Hmm.
because then that becomes anger turned inward. And what is anger
Yes.
turned inward? Is depression.
Yes.
And how do we take that out on ourselves? By being stressed, not
Right.
taking care of ourselves. The whole cycle continues. And that's not what we
Yeah.
want for anyone. And that's not what we should want for ourselves.
Exactly. Exactly. That's very well said. Now, you've worked in healthcare and high stress, and high stakes. Why is this work so important to those environments?
Well, because in health, because we're working with stressed and sick people. And when people are sick, they're not at their best, right? They're not at their top, but because they're not at their best, they don't always bring their best to us. They're angry, they're
Yeah.
frustrated. Healthcare is people are stressed.
Oh,
What is
yeah.
this? Am I going to leave the way I came? How is this
Mhm.
illness going to impact my life? Am I going to be able to pay for the medication? What is going to be the ongoing treatment? Will I
Yes.
still have the capacity to keep my job? So when patients and the people that we're caring for are having this stress as uh, professionals in healthcare, we're getting their stress. They're
Yeah.
giving that to us. Plus, we are managing all the elements of the care
Yeah.
that's involved in helping that person. So we have to be able to manage our own stress also so that we do not take the patient's frustration personally.
Right.
And when you're stressed and when you're overworked and fatigued, everything's personal. You
Yeah.
see your lens changes, and we don't want to make things personal because it's not. When we're caring for that person as a professional. And my
Mhm.
feelings shouldn't matter. But
Yeah.
they do, but that patient doesn't need to know I have feelings. I need to take my feelings. And if I'm working with you, Stacey, I'm gonna say, Stacey, you got a minute. Look,
Yeah.
I had a really hard time with that patient. I'm having a kind of a stressed day today. My mother's in the hospital. I'm really tired from my trip. if I'm not my best today, can you give me some grace? And
Yeah.
if I'm not responding correctly and I'm not fixing my face right, will you let me know? You have to. I think we have to say these things to each other
Yeah.
safely
Yeah.
and
I
create those
agree.
safe work environments.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Now let's talk about stop it at that method. Okay, the stop it method. Now, what does it stand for and how does it help prevent burnout?
Well, the S stands for scan. You have to really take the time to say, what is happening to me? What is happening to my body in this moment? What's happening to my responses? Why is my hair breaking off? Why does my back hurt? And we have to be honest and scan and listen. You know,
Yeah.
uh, we have, when it comes to signs of stress, of heart attacks, of a heart attack and stroke, women have more signs than men have. Women have more signs than men. I think because
Really?
it's harder to get our attention. And we'll,
Mhm.
a man will run, and a woman will tend to be, oh, I'll push through it. So there's more that we have that it takes to get our attention to listen to ourselves. But we first have to scan and really be honest about where we are and what we're feeling, and
Yes.
then we have to be willing to get the help because this burnout epidemic can't continue. I mean, we're the ones that suffer. And then we
Yeah.
have to tell the truth. So when you scan and reflect, I'm not good. I put on 20 pounds, my hair is falling, whatever it is, I'm not responding well. Then you have to be willing to tell yourself the truth. You have to say, this isn't not positive for me. This is
Yeah.
not advancing me. This is not
Yeah.
helping me advance my cause in life or as a
Mhm.
mother or as a friend or as a daughter, because it's not just about work. It's how we
Yeah.
show up in life and how we
Mhm.
show up for ourselves. And we're part of our lives. And you're a big deal. Everyone who's listening to this is important. They're a gift. They're a
Yeah.
gift. They're a gift. They're a gift. And so you have to treat yourself like you're precious and a gift
Right.
and valuable. And then O is for owning your yes and owning your no. No is a full sentence, just like yes is. And
Yeah.
sometimes people come to us because they think we'll say yes first. And it's okay to say, let me think about it. I'm
Yeah.
not sure. I appreciate that. There are kind ways to back off and protect yourself. And then you have to prioritize your power. You've got to prioritize you and your strength and preserve it. Because
Yeah.
if you're broke down, no one it's harder. No one's coming after you
Yeah.
when the breakdown hits. Oh, you have to prioritize yourself. I know I might be digressing, Stacey, but I've really observed that in many cases, people are getting, can you believe this? Now, tell me if you believe this, Stacey. People are getting their cues for life off of social media.
It's crazy.
Girl,
Yeah.
people are not paying your bills. These likes, people following you are not paying your bills. They don't support your life. They will not be by your side if you are sick. They are not there to help you with your children. Nothing.
Yeah.
But yet, so many people are feeling like they have to push because of what they are seeing on social media, strangers
Yeah.
who don't know
Hmm.
them from the man in the moon. So we have to, rather than getting our cues from social media, we have to prioritize our own voice and
Yes.
celebrate that we have one and use it. It is
Yeah.
okay if nobody agrees with you
Yes.
about your self-care. It's okay. I'll
Hmm.
find the Girl Scout saying was make new friends and keep the old. One is silver and the other's gold. And why not? If
Exactly.
sometimes you have to move. And then once we prioritize our voice, we have to change the habits.
Yes.
Ride a bike. Learn. I
Hmm.
ride my bike I love riding my bike. I have an e-bike now because my knees, I have nurse's knees, to be honest, and I have preserved my knees and I'm going to keep riding. So I have an e-bike, but I'm riding that bike, right? I love it.
Yeah.
But you have to integrate healing habits that work for you.
Yes.
And that means you might have to learn something new because your listeners might say, well, I don't have any healing habits. I don't have any time for that. Well, then you keep trying something until you find something that you like.
Yes.
Just keep trying. The
Exactly.
experience of meeting new people and taking care of yourself and being
Yeah.
excited about it because self-care is healthcare.
Yeah.
And then you finally, number two, you got to be willing to thrive unapologetically. You have to decide that you want to live. You have to embrace
Mhm.
yourself as a gift. You have to tell yourself that you're willing to find a space in life where you are happy and at peace. You have to choose it. You have
Yes.
to choose you.
Hmm.
It's just a choice. And so stop what you've been doing. So stop it. And if I was going to say, stop it. Just make a choice, make a decision, and own it.
Yes.
Because you're
Hmm.
important. You're a gift. You're a
Yes.
gift, Stacey. They're a gift. All the audience is a gift. Woo, woo. They're a gift. Woo. They're a gift. Woo. They got to treat themselves like it. They're important.
I love it. Now, how do boundaries fit into this? Like, especially for leaders and for entrepreneurs who feel guilty about saying no.
Well, I think that they have boundaries are important because if you don't, one, set boundaries, then you don't get what you need to get done. You
Hmm.
can't be I heard someone say yesterday that Mark Huber off of the one of the big he's a big millionaire and he's on that show. Why am I
Yeah,
not
yeah,
getting
yeah.
but
I can't think. I know you're
he
talking about though.
doesn't he does not talk to people. The only method of communication with him is email because he was asked in an interview, how do you get so much done with all of your multiple enterprises? He said, well, the only way, I don't talk to anybody. I just answer email. Why? That allows him to focus. That's his
Mhm.
boundary, right? And so leaders and entrepreneurs have to have boundaries for their work. They have to have boundaries for their personal space and their personal
Yes.
time. So when we're talking about boundaries, it's not just work, it's the different facets of your
Yeah.
life. Like I've been married a long time, 37 years, and Friday nights are date night. So my friends
Mhm.
and family know don't ask her to do anything on Friday because she is with Victor. Now that's a boundary. Nobody asked me to do anything. And if it's really special, they say, well, do you mind asking Victor? I said, you can ask him. And but I'll ask him. Yeah, but it was very infrequent. But there's a boundary. So first, to answer your question, that leaders and entrepreneurs have to be willing to know there are personal boundaries and there are work boundaries. And then
Mhm.
what do you find as the time waster for you?
Yeah.
If having an open door policy is what you do because you feel if you don't talk to people right away, they'll have a feeling about it, you can set boundaries around that and just
Yeah.
have schedule open hours so that you manage your time more
Right.
efficiently. Perhaps you're that person that says, well, I'm really a night owl, and maybe
Yeah.
I work better at night. And then you'll just schedule yourself differently so you have
Right.
boundary time, scheduled time for to engage with staff, and then you have scheduled time where you focus for your team. And so
Yeah.
entrepreneurs and leaders, we're not successful because we're not organized. You're
Right.
not successful because you're willy-nilly, and scattered. You're successful because ideally you can set a schedule and follow through.
Yeah.
Why not do the same thing for the boundaries in your life?
Right. Exactly. I love that. Now, what role does unresolved trauma in overworking or just over pleasing or over controlling?
Well, sometimes over people pleasing is where I say let your no be no, right?
Yeah.
People pleasing can lead to burnout and stress because you can't, number one, you can't please everybody.
Yeah.
You cannot. There are
Hmm.
some, so why set that as an expectation? I
Yeah.
believe that fairness is one thing, right? You can be fair and just and not let people run over you to the point where you feel that you are exhausted and overwhelmed. You have to be okay with people not always being okay with you. And
Yeah.
I just believe it's how you do it. It's not
Hmm.
that you do it. But when stress and burnout because and you are elevated in your life, then your responses are not natural. They're not kind. They're not gentle in the way that you'd like them to be, and that is ultimately what gets people in trouble. Is they snap.
Right.
And people never remember. And you know, Stacey, you can give people what they want 150 times, and they
Hmm.
won't remember until that 151st time you said no. They forgot the 150 times you said yes. All the
Yes.
grace you gave. The 151, I didn't like it, and they'll forget. So
Hmm.
I think we have to remember that sometimes you just cannot please everyone, and that
Yes.
is really not your goal. Your goal is to be just and fair and
Mhm.
consistent
Right.
and fair to your team, fair to your customers, and fair to yourself.
Right.
Because it otherwise stress builds up, right?
Yeah.
Vicarious trauma is when it happens when we're exposed to certain situations all of the time, and then
Right.
that ongoing. So what if you at work, you're an entrepreneur, you're a leader, and you are continually exposing yourself to
Yeah.
negative energy, to stress because you're always saying yes? Well, you can stop that.
Right.
You have to.
You have to.
You have
I
to.
agree with you.
Even iron wears out.
Yeah. That's true. That's
Even
so
iron
true.
wears out. And if we think we're not wearing out, you know, we are all going to we control how well you live. And I tell young people, you know, all the time, you how well you do and look when you get to be my age is probably partially depending on how you treat yourself when you're 20 and 30.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
You know. And so I tell them, be kind to yourself. You know, they say, oh, you look so good, you know. And I've been 29 on 3 times. I'm on my third cycle. Part of it is how I treated myself when I was 20, 30, 40, and
Mhm.
beyond.
Right. I
I'm in the
love it.
beyond stage now. We won't tell her.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, how does trauma-informed leadership actually create healthier and more profitable cultures?
Oh, Stacey, I love that you asked that because trauma-informed leadership is really about creating a culture in which we understand the trauma that our team members may have had. And
Hmm.
prior to the pandemic, it was estimated that 60 to 70% of all Americans had at least one adverse childhood experience. Now, you
Yeah.
couple the pandemic on top of that, you layer the political situation our country is in, the angst, the division. You layer upon that inflation. You know, even what we're seeing in our current state now with the national government, federal government being shut down. This is stress. So we
Oh, yeah.
have to leadership, trauma from leadership understands that I need to be kind and gentle and create a kind and
Yeah.
gentle culture because I don't know what my colleague is experiencing, but actually I
Right.
do because they're living in this much of the same society that I am. And so
Yeah.
I need to acknowledge, how is everyone doing? Boy, the inflation really is going up. And then we
Yeah.
don't going up. And do you know anyone in your family who's caught up in the not getting paid right now? We
Right.
have to acknowledge it. Trauma informed leadership understands that many people have had childhood experiences, traumatic ones, that color how they lead and how they function. So we
Yeah.
cannot just talk to team members any old kind of way and tell them, well, you just have to do it because it's my directive as the leader. Well, people aren't
Yeah.
going to respond well to that. And if they've
No.
had trauma in their lives, you might trigger them.
Yeah.
And when we trigger people, sometimes their behaviors are not what we would want.
No. No.
Mm-mm. So I think trauma-informed leadership is, if I was going to sum it up, is about empathy, compassion, understanding that our words matter, and to be
Yeah.
committed to engaging everyone with kindness, assuming that they may have had something traumatic happen in their lives that is influencing their engagement, their presence, or their
Mhm.
ability to be present. And then how can I help them?
Yes. I love that. Now, you said burnout can be a turning point. What does that healthy reset look like?
Well, the healthy reset, I will go back to scanning. You
Hmm.
have to be willing to acknowledge what is happening to you. A
Yeah.
healthy reset is one that in which a leader or entrepreneur is willing to embrace a bold change, either
Hmm.
in their leadership style so that
Right.
they have boundaries and they're more effective at work and in the other facets of their life, or
Right.
it may be willing, or it may involve them being willing to say, I need to make a bold change
Right.
in my career. They say young people, the younger are Gen X, Gen Z,
Hmm.
they're going to change careers 5 to 7 times. In one article I recently read, careers. Now imagine that, Stacey, 5 to 7 times changing your career, and that
Yeah.
they can change jobs anywhere. It may change jobs anywhere from 12 to 17 times. Now, the
Wow.
number can vary depending on what article you're reading, but see, I'm that generation. I had two, real high primary employers a good part of my career. And
Yeah.
I don't think I ever had 12 anything. I don't think that ever, but that was how the world was. There weren't those opportunities. But I
Right.
think the reset really is being honest with yourself, getting help, getting a therapist, getting other people's insight,
Yeah.
being getting the rest that you need, and determining what you want and how
Hmm.
you want to show up for the rest of your life, because you're not going to be 30 forever, 40 forever. What do you want
Right.
left in your bucket,
Yeah. That's true.
as life evolves? Because it
Hmm.
will for all of us. So the courage. I think it's important that the listeners have the courage to see themselves as a gift, because they are a gift. It doesn't matter what anybody else says. And they're willing
Right.
to have the courage to make the changes and the bold decisions that are best for them right now
Right. I
and for the
love that.
future.
Dr. Melanie, listeners were promised 5 concrete actions. Can you share those 5 things that they could do this week to lower stress and lead from a calmer place?
Yes. Number one, eat well. Your fruits, garbage in, garbage out.
Hmm.
Eating well, reduce and giving hydrating will reduce your stress. Go to bed. You need
Hmm.
sleep.
Yeah.
Nothing, your body needs rest. When you're well rested, so go to bed. Set a bedtime schedule and go to
Yeah.
bed, at 9 o'clock, at 8 o'clock. You know, get the rest you need. You also
Exactly.
have to engage people in your life, maybe to work with you and to support you, your
Yes.
significant other, your friends, your family, whoever your meaningful people are. And if you
Hmm.
don't have any meaningful relationships, that is something you may want to change, because we're made to live in community. So
Yeah.
maybe you want to find one, even if it's the gym, a walking group, a meetup group.
Right.
And that was number three. Number four, you want to find joy. What is something that you like to do, that you have enjoyed doing in the past, that you could bring back?
Yes.
Did you like running, going to walking? Did you once sing or play an instrument? Did you
Right.
once enjoy reading a book? Bring that joy back into your life so that
Right.
you're balanced. Lead a balanced life. And the
Yes.
fifth thing that you can do is to tell yourself that you are a gift, to tell
Mhm.
yourself the truth that you are special. It's not about your title or your money that makes you special. It's what you believe about you. And
Yeah.
oh, and you're the first person that has to believe something differently about
Mhm.
yourself. So speak
Right.
well of yourself. You're in the mirror, you're the first person you see every day. You're the
Mhm.
voice that you hear first every day. You're the
Yes.
voice that you are most familiar with every day.
Right.
So why not speak
Hmm.
well to yourself?
Yes.
Why not feed yourself? As a man thinketh, so is he.
Yes.
Out of the heart, the mouth does speak. So your heart about yourself, your energy about yourself, your
Yes.
commitment to yourself will change when you start saying something else. Now,
Yes.
I'm not talking about how you feel because sometimes your feelings have to catch up with where you need to be. So,
Hmm.
women, to you specifically, you cannot judge your leadership or where you are on your feelings because your feelings lie all the time. You
Yeah.
one moment, what time of the month is, you feel one way, another, we can't, we can't do that. But we have to be willing to make the changes, to think, to speak better, to eat the basic nutrition, hydrate, choose joy, choose fun, and see yourself as you were created to be a gift.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I love that. Now tell everybody about the services that you provide.
Yes. So I help organizations uh, create cultures of respect and wellness. And I also am a confidence coach. I help people, women, but more specifically, make the changes and have the confidence that they need to move their life in the direction that they'd like it to be in. Whether it's setting boundaries, changing a
Yeah.
career, just having the courage to feel good about themselves.
Yeah.
And so I help organizations from a culture, organizational leaders. I help individuals, and I have on my website where you can get resources for burnout is Dr. Melanie Gray, theconfidencecoach.com.
I love it. I love it. Well, I got to tell you, Melanie, this has been amazing, Dr. Melanie. You are an amazing woman. And I just got to tell you that this has been a wonderful episode. This is so many people, struggle with, dealing with stress, dealing with their own confidence, dealing with, all the things that we talked about today and burnout especially, and you provided such great knowledge, resources, and, different tools and strategies that they could apply to their own life. And I have to just say thank you because, so many people need somebody like yourself, where they, can get the guidance, they can get the reassurance that they are somebody and that they could overcome this and that, it does, even if in a leadership role, we don't always have to, appear so strong. We can let down our walls and be vulnerable too, and just learn how to just deal with hard, obstacles that come our way. But we can be, humans. We're allowed to feel these ways. It's okay. Because I think sometimes we have these, we were taught we have to be strong, we have to be this, we have to be that, and people never deal with a lot of emotions and traumas along the way, and they're unresolved in our subconscious and they affect us in our present moment. And so I'm so glad what you do. And if people wanted to contact you, they can go directly on your website.
Yes, Dr. Melanie Gray, theconfidencecoach.com. And I really encourage the listeners, to also use, especially those who are in organizations that offer EAP, less than 6%, only 67% of the employees in our country that have access to employee assistance programs actually use it. I think if as
Wow.
our leaders will use it to get the professional help that they need to help their stress and burnout, they'll also model that for their team members. It's
Yes.
private, it's paid for, and I think more people can be encouraged to use that resource.
Oh, I love that idea. There's so many people in our society that struggle with stress and burnout, and it just eats away, mentally, physically, your spiritual well-being, everything gets destroyed if we can't be able to balance our lives. So I'm so glad that you do what you do, and I'm so glad to have you on the show today. I thank
Oh,
you so
thank you.
much for being here. I really do. Thank you
Oh,
so much.
Dr. Stacey, thank you so much.
You have a wonderful day.
You too.